I asked for comments and you guys hit it out of the park. In my last video, link down below in the description if you want to check that one out, I asked for you guys to tell me more lies that people believe about survival. And I got tons of comments and I've picked some of my favorites to feature in this video. Let's jump right into it. 10 more lies about survival. Hey, real quick guys, you're gonna see a lot of clips from other videos I've made. I've put that full list of other videos in the description section so you can go check those out after. From urban survival to winter survival, lots of other videos that I've made, including testing a bug out bag from Walmart. So check those out after you watch this video. Now, a reminder that the purpose of this video is not to rag on people or make fun of folks. That's not going to be helpful. What we want to do is address lies that people believe about survival so they don't get themselves into dangerous situations. With that said, here's lie number 1. Bro, I've watched Alone, Naked and Afraid, Dual Survival. I've seen those shows. I've learned my stuff. I know how to survive. Let me give you a little rhyme in response to this lie. It goes like this. Watching a show doesn't make you a pro. And let me give you the 2 words that I think solve this problem. It's dirt time. Dirt time is when you get out there in the woods and you're working on your skills. You're figuring out how to make shelters. You're figuring out how to catch food. You're figuring out how do I actually clean my water so it's something I can consume without getting really sick. So you got to get out there, put the time and effort in. It's not enough just to watch the shows. Now, with that said, I do want to note, I really like those shows, and I think you can pick up little nuggets of wisdom as you watch something like Alone or Dual Survival. I actually bought Dual Survival past seasons so I could watch them because I like the show so much. But when you see a concept on a show, that's seeing it and being intrigued by it. The next step is to practice it, and then it goes even further to become proficient at the skill. So remember, watching a TV show is entertaining and it can be educational, but it's not the same thing as being really ready for a survival situation because you've put in those 2 words, dirt time. Lie number 2, I built my bug out bag, so I'm all set. If I have to get out of town, I'm ready to go. Here are a few different thoughts on the idea that a bug out bag equals ready to go. Number 1, it's way more likely that you're gonna bug in instead of bugging out. So be prepared to bug in and stay at your location before you spend a lot of time preparing to bug out. Secondly, having the gear in your bag is great, but you gotta ask the who, what, when, where, why of bugging out. For example, who am I bugging out with, and to whose house am I traveling? Am I going a particular location that I'm headed when I bug out? What is really broad, but what am I bringing? What's the plan when I get there? What's the plan to get there? When's a good time to bug out? When's a good time to bug in? When has to do with time, so how long am I prepared to get out of my location and to go to this other location? Where is not just about where am I going, but where am I going to get there? What traffic do I have to avoid? What roads do I have to avoid? Is there a bridge out? So the where and the travel process of your bugging out, that's really important too. And why is a great question to ask about a lot of things connected to bugging out. Why did I put the gear in my bag that I did? Why am I bugging out versus bugging in? Why am I gonna stay there as long as I am versus staying for a day and then coming back? There's a lot to think about that goes way beyond just having a bug out bag. Number 3, I bring a compass with me every time I go into the woods. So even if I get lost, I've got a compass so I can find my way out. A compass is a great navigation tool. If you have a compass and a map, that's a whole nother level. If you have a compass and a map and you know how to use the compass, that takes you to a whole nother place. Let me give you an example of faulty thinking when it comes to a compass. I live near the eastern seaboard. I live in New Hampshire. So hypothetically, if I got lost in the woods, I could say, well, as long as I head east, eventually I'm gonna hit the ocean. That's true. But if I'm 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 miles from the ocean, even though I'm close, I definitely am gonna have a major challenge even traveling that distance. Right now, I'm gonna recommend a resource from my buddy Craig Cottle from the Nature Reliance School. Check out this resource if you want to learn about navigating out in the woods, how to use a compass, how to travel in the outdoors. This is a great resource for you to get a hold of. But let's just remember, if you have a compass, that's better than not having one, but it's a whole nother level to have your map and then also to know how to use it. Now let me pause here for a minute, because you might be saying, are you serious? Do people actually think just because they have a compass, they're gonna know how to survive or to travel well in the woods? No joke, I was at the top of Mount Marcy in upstate New York in early spring, so there's still a lot of snow on the ground. On the top of the mountain, I bumped into a group with my friend. We bumped into a group of probably 6 or 7 20-year-olds or so, and they came up and they said, hey, can we borrow your map? They had hiked from a trailhead all the way in almost 10 miles without a map. So that's the type of mindset I'm talking about here. Obviously, that's worse than not having a map and a compass, but people can read the checklist for packing for a hiking trip and see map, check, compass, check. But that's different than actually knowing how to use them, obviously. That's a real story. Number 4, I don't spend a lot of time in the woods, so I'm never gonna be in a survival situation. Now, in relation to this one, I wanna give you sort of 2 subcategories. Number 1 is that people often think survival is just about surviving in the woods, but there are plenty of other survival situations. Certainly my focus is geared around survival in the woods, but just think about urban survival. You may have to survive in an urban setting, so just because you're not in the woods doesn't mean you're never gonna have to survive. Secondly, there's plenty of people who don't consider themselves outdoorsmen or outdoorswomen, but they do go on little adventures here and there. And a simple adventure away from the parking lot can get you into a world of hurt. You hike a mile from your car, you step off the path to maybe go use the bathroom, and then you wander off to take a look at maybe a little vista that you saw, and all of a sudden you turn around and you're like, I don't know where the path is. Then you start hiking the wrong direction, all of a sudden you're lost. You call out, but wait, it's evening, so most people aren't on the trail. Now you're in a survival situation. So I'm not saying everybody has to become a survival expert. So don't think just because you don't spend a ton of time in the outdoors that means you don't ever need to learn survival skills. Even if you don't spend a ton of time in the outdoors, survival skills can still be helpful. Number 5, it's not winter, so I'm not gonna get hypothermia. Let's remember that there's a difference between causation and correlation. So winter doesn't cause hypothermia, but there's a correlation or a connection between the cold temperatures in winter and hypothermia. Hypothermia is going to kick in when your body temperature reaches 95 degrees. So as you drop from your normal operating temperature, which is almost 99 degrees, but a little bit under that, as that drops down, you're going to be moving toward hypothermia. So it's not really about winter per se, it's about temperature. So I'll give you an example. I hiked Mount Adams with my wife a couple years ago in the middle of the summer. It was hot at the bottom of the mountain. Once you get up to the top of the mountain, it's a lot cooler and there's a breeze and you're sweaty. And so had we stayed out there, even in the sun for a long time, our body temperature would have kept on dropping and dropping. And then it gets cold at night, the sun goes down, it would have kept dropping and dropping again. So in the middle of summer, we could be moving toward hypothermia. So remember, hypothermia is not just caused by it being the winter, it's caused by your body temperature hitting 95 degrees. So you gotta stay warm. You gotta stay at a healthy temperature, even if it's in the middle of the summer or in the middle of the winter. Number 6, definitely don't eat snow in the winter. Like yellow snow? No, don't eat any snow in the winter. So the whole idea of not eating snow, I made a video in the past about winter survival. Here's one of the sections of that video. Check it out. Here's snow. Me eating snow. Now, a lot of people say, don't eat snow if you're out in the winter because it's going to make you cold. Yes, that is absolutely something you need to be aware of. But if you're, say, actively moving and you're keeping your body temperature up, eating a little bit of snow in the process will help keep you hydrated and will also not make you very cold. Let me reiterate this again. If you're just sitting and waiting for someone to rescue you and you're eating snow, it'll hydrate you, but it's gonna make you cold quickly. So think about on a cold winter day, you're inside and you have a cup of tea, you have a cup of coffee, that's gonna warm you up because you put warm, hot liquid into your body. It's gonna raise that temperature up. So in the same way, eating cold snow and just sitting around, that's gonna cool you down. But if you're moving and you're active and you're keeping your temperature up, consuming a little bit of snow every once in a while will help keep you hydrated. Number 7, I've got survival skills, so my physical fitness when I go out into the woods, it doesn't really matter. Now this is one of those topics I wish I couldn't speak to you from personal experience, but I can. I'm at my heaviest weight right now. I gotta lose weight. I can tell you, working on survival skills in the woods now is notably harder than it was when I was 30 pounds, 40 pounds lighter. So I get winded more easily. I get tired more easily. My flexibility is lower. So you might have great survival skills. You might be well trained, but if your overall health is not as good as it should be, or you're not as physically fit as you should be, it's just straight up gonna affect your survival. My body has to work harder to do certain things than it would if I was stronger and lower in weight. Now, on top of that, don't forget that if you've got something like diabetes, if you've got thyroid issues, you've got heart issues, you can be excellent at survival, but some of those things can get really dangerous if you're out in the woods in a survival situation. So, yes, improve your survival skills, but one of those skills or the things that's going to add to the effectiveness of those skills is being in good health. Stay healthy, folks. Number 8, and I found this one the most interesting. All right, say you're out in the woods, you get lost, and then you finally stumble upon a home or a homestead. At that point, you're gonna be safe and sound. So like I said, this one was really interesting to me. Let's think about a couple things. You're in the woods, you're lost, you find a shelter, like a real full-fledged house. You show up to the house. On the positive side, it can offer you shelter to keep the rain or the snow off. But let's say you go inside and it's cold inside just like it's cold outside. Maybe there's no insulation. Maybe there's something in the house already, like some sort of animal that now you have to deal with. What if there's no food? What if there's no fireplace? So it's nice to be out of the weather, let's say, but there are some downsides and it doesn't necessarily mean you're rescued. Let's go beyond that. What if you come up to a property and as you approach the house, somebody comes out and says, get off my property, man. This is my property. It's private. I don't care about what your situation is. Get away. Now, you could try to reason with that type of person, but you got to be careful, man. Just because it's a house that you found in the woods doesn't mean everything's going to be peachy keen at this point. And yes, I just used the words peachy keen. I don't know. Number 9, there's no real way to prepare for a survival situation mentally. You're just going to have to figure it out once you're there and see if you can tough it out. Now, I want to be really clear on this one. Survival knowledge, survival skills, those things matter. You can be really, really tough. You can be really, really durable and still not have survival skills and then not make it out of the woods. On the other hand, if you have a high level of skill, but you've got just a low ability to deal with tough situations, the skills are not going to be able to be applied because you're going to give up. So you can train for survival situations by learning skills, but also just by toughening yourself up physically and mentally. One way you can do that is by like going out and resting on the ground for a while. Just literally take a nap on the earth. Maybe it's just in your yard and you wake up and you're like, okay, like that wasn't super comfortable, but yeah, I can do it. Now that's a simple thing you can do, but it gets you more used to sleeping in an uncomfortable situation. Maybe it's in your workout routine. You know, maybe you're like, I normally jog 2 miles, but I'm gonna jog 2.5 miles just to push myself a little bit, to challenge myself, to show myself, yeah, I can do this. I can push myself beyond my limits. Maybe it's that you usually run a half marathon and now you're like, well, now I'm gonna run 18 miles because I wanna challenge myself. It's pushing yourself outside of your limits. That will translate to a survival situation. Across the board, when I listen to survival instructors that I respect, when I read their resources, their books, listen to their podcasts, one of the most important things that they hit on is mental toughness. If you've got the will to fight and you add in some skill there, there's a really good chance you can get out of a bad situation in the woods. But if you're going to give up quickly, it doesn't matter how much skill you have, it's not going to work out for you. Number 10, and yes, I get the irony here. There's a strong correlation between how many survival videos you watch on YouTube and how good you'll be at survival. Let me give you 2 thoughts on this last one. Number 1, I already mentioned dirt time. You got to get out in the woods and train. So if you have a favorite YouTuber who teaches survival skills, check out those skills, but then get out in the woods, you yourself, and train with them. Don't just count on the fact that you watch somebody do it. That's not the same thing as you doing it, failing, getting better, failing, getting better, failing, getting better. That's just part of the process. So back to that dirt time. That's the first thing. Here's the second thing. A lot of you guys know that my full-time job is a pastor. So one of my favorite passages in Paul's letter to the Thessalonians, he says, test everything, hold on to what is good. Now, this is true for you if you're watching me or anybody else. If you want to apply that biblical passage while it's about something different, let's apply it to the idea of survival skills. Test what I say. Test what other people say. Get out there, test it, and see if it's good and it works. If it's true, then hold on to it. But if it's not true, then throw that skill out. That's not a skill that you need to learn, right? And so what you need to do is you got to have that dirt time. And when you take content in from YouTubers, test it. Test it and see if it's good. Test it and see if it actually works. And if it is, hold on to it and use it. If it's not, throw it out. Now, again, Paul's talking about something different in the Bible, but I think the broad concept still stands. Test those YouTubers that you watch, see if what they say is true. And if it is, then put it into practice, and it's another survival skill for you. To everybody who watched and or commented on the last video, thanks so much. If you want to see that video, it's right here. Let's keep the conversation going. What are more lies people believe about survival? Leave a comment. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.